اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا واعف عنا وتقبلنا يا أرحم الراحمين. Let me share my screen. We are. Did I give you guys a, did you guys give you a homework? What did I give you guys give you homework wise? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm saying, I gave you guys a homework, no?
I don't remember.
You don't remember, huh?
Yes.
Sorry. It's been a long day, even though it's still 10 o'clock in the morning. Alhamdulillah. I've been running around like crazy. Bismillah. So we started basically step 2 of the proof to ascertain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one and only, exists. And we said, first, step number 1 is to observe the universe. We finished that observation. That was last week's homework. And we concluded that the universe is limited, dependent, and constantly changing. Which really, when you say constantly changing, it means basically time exists. How do you know that time exists? Well, you feel it, right? You change and time basically passes by. You feel time. There's no other proof for time except basically that you observe the change of the universe, and that is what time is. So basically, you observe time and the spatial universe to be dependent and limited. That's really it. With those 3 characteristics, we've been able to prove 1 point about the universe. 1 point, okay? Which is that the universe must have a beginning. The universe, because it is. How did we define the universe? Let's basically see if we can get an answer here. How did we define the word universe? You remember? Assalamualaikum, guys, come on. We need a little bit of interaction. This is called the I3 Institute, standing for the Interactive Ilm Institute. So you have to be interactive, okay? It's not allowed. It is prohibited not to be interactive. So go ahead, Sabah.
So the 3 words that we use to describe the universe, is that what you're referring to?
No, we actually gave a definition for the word universe, not the description of the universe. Do you remember? We said it is the set of something. If you remember, basically from math, we define things in set theory. It's called set theory, in sets. The set of something. Zia, go ahead.
I remember it was set of limited entities.
Exactly. Not just that, the set of all limited entities. Why is it important to define it, guys? Let me explain to you. When you're debating with an atheist, if you tell them that the universe, linguistically meaning, which is really everything in existence, is limited, he'll tell you, how do you know that? How do you know that? I'm giving you guys tips on how to debate. How would you know that the universe is limited? Meaning all the universe. When you didn't observe all the universe, step number 1 is observation. You observe the slice of the universe, both in time and space, and then you're telling me, Mr. Muslim, that the universe is limited. Hey, it's not limited. How do you know? So that's why we don't do it this way. We did observe features about the certain parts of the universe, and we saw them as limited, we saw them as dependent, and we saw them constantly changing. Perfect. So what we do in a proper proof that is mathematically sound and logically sound is we define the word universe to mean the set of all limited things, whether we basically observe them or not. Okay? So we're not including eternal things, because we've never seen anything eternal before. We've never seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We've never touched Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We've never smelled Allah. So our 5 senses did never have actually sensed the unlimited. We've only sensed limited things. So that's why we define the universe as all entities. All, the word all, you missed the word all, akhi, and that's crucial. Because see, when we talk about logic and math, it has every word counts. So the word universe, we define it to mean the set of all limited entities, whether observed or not observed. Now we know there's some of them exist because we observed some, and therefore we're not talking basically about an imaginary set. No. We're talking about a real set of limited items, all limited items. Okay, the observed and the non-observed. طيب, let's continue, inshallah. Going back to the slides. So that's why basically we made an analogy that we observed the changing location of a limited entity, which is the car. We said basically, does the car have a beginning? We said, well, definitely, because every change of location necessitates gas, and gas is limited, and therefore, because gas is limited, and then the change of the location of the car is dependent on gas, therefore, the car must have started from a beginning. It cannot basically move from forever. This is the exact same, this is the exact word for word, same argument as we've done for the universe. We looked at the universe, we saw that the universe basically is changing, right? And we said we found that basically this change is dependent not on fuel, but on time that is limited, because between every change in the universe, time is actually limited, and therefore basically we ask the question, can the universe basically start from a no beginning or unlimited beginning? And we say, well, no, it cannot, because basically time is limited and every step needs its time, and therefore if it is unlimited, we wouldn't have been here in the first place, because time is actually limited in the first place between every step, and therefore starting from unlimited time we wouldn't be here. And because we are here, it's a contradiction to assume that the beginning is actually an unlimited beginning for the universe, and therefore we conclude logically and mathematically that the universe must have a beginning, and every limited object that changes in a finite time must have a beginning. This is the proof. This is the rational, mathematically sound proof of why the universe must have a beginning. Okay? It's called proof by contradiction. It's proof by contradiction and logical elimination. Where the logical set of options is basically the beginning is either infinite or non-infinite, or unlimited and unlimited. We assume one of those possibilities, which is the unlimited, to be the beginning. We go through a proof by contradiction. We reach a contradiction. We eliminate this possibility of the beginning of the universe being unlimited, and therefore the only other logical possibility is that the universe have begun with a beginning, with a finite beginning. Does everybody understand that? Everybody understand? This is the proof of Allah.
Yes.
This is crucial. This is the way to prove Allah's existence. There's no other way, brothers and sisters. This is the only way to prove Allah's existence philosophically, logically, through your brains, through your mind. Okay? And I've simplified it. I simplified it as much as I can so you can understand it. This definitely exact analogy to the car and the fuel. Car changes in distance. This change in distance dependent upon the limited fuel, because you use, let's say, like a micromillimeter, whatever it is, basically for every, let's say, I don't know, like a rotation of the wheel, right? And therefore, since basically, going from no beginning necessitates unlimited fuel, we can't, because fuel is limited. Therefore, the car must have a beginning. Exactly same argument, but we switch the fuel with time, and we switch the change of distance with the change of space, and we come with the same conclusion, that there must be a finite beginning for anything that is limited and changing, and definitely the universe is limited and changing, and therefore, because by definition, as we define the set, what did we define the universe as? The set of all limited and changing entities, and therefore the universe must have begun. Okay, it's very powerful. It is amazing, and this is how the scholars of the past have proved Allah's existence. And this is step number 2 in proving Allah's existence. Let's go to number 3. We discussed basically this what's if thing. Let's move forward, and we discussed the dependency argument. The dependency argument is similar to the limitation argument, because in the first proof we linked every change. We said basically assume that there's a finite unit quanta of change basically, which is time, right? It's like, you remember that microfuel, that one rotation of the wheel. We made an analogy that basically, physicists tell us that there is basically a minimum constant for what time is. It's kind of like basically a cycle. If you understand how a computer works, or even basically if you're a biologist or a cognitive science neuroscientist, and you understand how the body clock works, there's always this basically cycle. It's kind of, we use crystal basically in microprocessors to create this basically uniform cycles of things. So anyway, these little steps are dependent on one another. We said basically if there's infinite regress of these micro time steps or quanta of times, it will go forever, and therefore we wouldn't be here. In a similar manner, basically, where the proof by dependency is something a little bit different, because now you're linking the actual physical state of affairs and its dependency on other physical state of affairs, and we see everything dependent. So we fall into basically two possibilities: either infinite regress or cyclical regress. Cyclical regress never ends, and therefore nothing would basically be there, like the chicken and egg is cyclical, or infinite regress of dependencies due to time and space, which also basically will take us to infinite regress of dependencies. And therefore, if there is infinite regress of dependencies, even through a linear or non-linear dependency set, we will basically, we will not exist, but therefore we exist. It's proved by contradiction. Again, similar basically framework of thinking. We will basically conclude that there must be an initial entity that is independent, okay? So, and that independent entity is basically what we're going to prove later on, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There must be, in this proof, basically we reach a conclusion, there must be an independent entity at this finite set of dependencies of dependent objects to reach this independent initial cause that initiates this universe. And therefore, if there is an independent entity that is a first cause, then that means there must be a beginning. We go to the same conclusion. Okay? Now, if you didn't understand both, but you understand one of them, is good enough. Some people basically understand the dependency argument or the contingency argument easier, and which is more popular, I guess. The Hamzat sources of the world use that one. The other one is not as popular because it's a little bit more complicated. But I love that one more because my teachers, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them, have stressed that one. But anyway, they're both equivalent and they're both really the same. It's just a little bit different approach, but they both give you the same conclusion that the universe must have a beginning. Okay? Any questions before we continue? Go ahead, Zia. We'll take one question.
No, I'm just saying thumbs up and it's fine.
Say again?
I was just saying thumbs up, like it's fine, no questions.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah. Good. Anybody has a question? You guys understand this. I want you to leave this course like you're an intellectual, rational Muslim. The minute you believe in Islam this way, brothers and sisters, nobody can shake your faith. Nobody can shake your belief. People can come through any question at you, and you're like, okay, well, you can answer it. And if you don't answer it, nothing will shake your belief ever. Because now you're building your intellectualism, you're building your faith upon a rational basis, an intellectual basis that cannot be shaken, upon the truth, the haqq. Allah is a haqq. All right? Okay, let's continue. Step number 3. Now we're gonna basically now prove something a little bit different. We're gonna say everything with a beginning must have a cause. Everything with a beginning must have a cause. All what we have proven in step number 2 is there has to be a beginning. A beginning is a must. That's step number 2. Okay, where did this beginning come from? Where did this initial beginning come from? Well, there's 3 logical possibilities. Okay, number 1, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lists those 3 possibilities in the Quran. I'll tell you which ayah later. So the first possibility is this this beginning came out of nothing. This beginning, or this initial independent entity, or the beginning of existence of the constantly changing and limited entities of the universe, that initial existence came from nothing. And we know there's a beginning. So the universe is not eternal. This beginning, one possibility, it came from nothing. Now, definitely, basically, you know, we need to go. We need first to. I don't like how the slide is actually made. Let's put the possibilities first. The second possibility is that that beginning created itself. That initial independent entity have created itself. And then the third is that it must have some sort of external cause. It must have an external cause, the beginning of the universe. So let's go back and deal with each one of them by basically logical elimination. We're going to use, again, logical elimination. Your friends, basically, in proving Allah's existence, three things: the law of contradictions, and the law of causality, and logical elimination. Okay? So these three things, basically, you need to have them in your toolbox. What's the first possibility? There are three possibilities. The first possibility is it came from nothing. Well, could it come from? Excuse me. Could it come from nothing? Well,
No.
if it's not there in the first place, how could it initiate the existence of something else? If nothing exists, how could nothing, which is nothing in the first place, initiate the existence of something else? And therefore, due to the law of causality, meaning any change must have a cause. Yeah, you need to memorize that. Any change must have a cause. Nothing comes out of nothing. So therefore, due to the law of causality, this first possibility of coming from nothing is eliminated. We've eliminated this possibility. Second is that the universe, the beginning of the universe have created itself. The independent entity created itself. Well, you know, it's a contradiction. Why is it a contradiction? Because see, if it created itself, that means basically it was existing before it created itself. So you're claiming, sir, that the universe existed and not existed at the same time. Not existed because it needs to be created, and existed because it's actually doing the act of creation. Therefore, it's a contradiction because you're claiming that the initial cause, or the independent entity, or the beginning of the universe itself, either it existed and didn't exist at the same time. Therefore, it's a contradiction, and therefore it cannot be the case. And the second possibility is also eliminated. That leaves us with only one possibility and nothing else, and therefore we take that which must have a cause. It must have a cause. Now, what is this cause, brothers and sisters? By the way, before we ask this question, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, it says, were they created from nothing, or were they themselves the creators, or did they create the heavens and the earth? Nay, but they have no firm belief. So as you can see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listed those three possibilities in the Quran. The Quran teaches you how to think logically and rationally, and gives you the philosophical argumentation that is 100% for the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Definitely. طيب. Any questions about this before we continue?
I have a question, Sheikh. So
Sure.
can't they argue that the same thing, like, you know how like you were talking about the universe? Can't they say that for Allah?
Oh, we're gonna get there. We didn't reach Allah yet.
Okay.
We're saying basically we proved in step number 2 that there must be a beginning. We proved in step number 3 that there must be a cause. Now we don't know what this cause is all about. Yeah, we're not talking about Allah yet.
Okay.
Until now, you as a raw human being don't believe in Allah yet. You're still basically trying to figure things out. So you looked at the universe, you saw that it's changing and independent and whatever, and then you concluded that it must have a beginning, and then you concluded there must be a cause. Okay, what is this cause? Well, let's see. See what I'm saying?
Okay, thank you.
It is very important to understand that, because when you discuss with an atheist, if you talk about God before proving that God exists, they're going to tell you you're just dogmatic. You're just basically brainwashed. You're circular argument. Until now, we didn't get to believe in God yet from a rational perspective. We're still trying to figure things out from a rational perspective. There's other questions. Akbar, go ahead.
I have a question. So in my grade 8 curriculum book, the first thing they teach in science is like the first cell was made by itself. It didn't come out by itself. Is that true or is that false?
What do you mean by create itself? It didn't create itself. It was created due to basically the mix of nitrogen and carbon and oxygen and other elements and proteins with water and specific amount of heat and pressure. This is how the scientists claim that the first cell have existed on Earth. Not by itself. There's no such thing. Nobody says that. No scientist will tell us. That person will basically lose his humanity when he says that. So the first cell on Earth, they claim, is a mix of some soil particles which created the first RNA and blah blah and certain chemical change. So there's dependency, as you can see. See, the first cell is dependent upon the micronutrients and the different atomic elements on planet Earth that are under a specific pressure and temperature. So again, we go by dependency. Everything is dependent on something else.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You got it or no?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, Ali, go ahead.
Sheikh Usta, can you please repeat the law of causality that you said we should memorize?
Every change has a cause.
Every change. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Right. Any other questions before? Because I want you guys to understand these things very well before we move. Any other questions?
No, Sheikh, clear. Everything's clear.
Okay, let's move to basically step number 4. So now we've proven that there must be a cause. Okay, what's that cause? Let's go to step number 4. This cause must be unlimited. This is what we're going to prove in this step. How do we do it? By contradiction. Over here in step 3, we also kind of listed, maybe we should separate this into a separate slide. Maryam, if you can basically take some notes, inshallah. So this cause could, the logical possibilities of this cause basically is 2 things. This cause could be limited, like the rest of the entities in the universe, right? Remember that set of the set that we called the universe, all limited entities, yeah? So it could be one of those limited entities. But also, logically, at least theoretically, because we've never touched anything unlimited, could be unlimited. The entity might be unlimited itself, right? So, okay, how do we prove it? How do we prove this? Again, we're going to use our friend proof by contradiction. We're going to assume one and try to disprove it so we can have a logical elimination of one of them and believe in the second. So I prove by contradiction. We're going to assume that that cause that caused the universe, that caused the beginning of the universe, right? Because we said the universe is a set of limited things, must have a cause. That cause that initiated the universe is limited in itself. What did we prove in step number 2? Every limited entity must have also a cause. So basically, hello, why is this not moving? Give me 1 second. Oh, here we go. So therefore, this cause C, that's called C naught, C with like a little 0 over it, must have a beginning. And that means basically it must have a cause, like in step 3. And then that cause in itself becomes C naught, C with like one like a little, what's it called, apostrophe. Okay, so this is C prime. Okay, well, C prime, we're going to also assume that it's limited because that's the assumption that any cause C with whatever naught or prime is limited. We're saying, well then C prime must have a cause, and that cause basically must be limited. Therefore, we're going to call it C double prime. Say, well, C double prime is limited, therefore it must have a beginning, and therefore must have a cause. Well, then basically we're going to say that it's that C triple prime, and then we're going to continue for infinite regress. And if it's infinite regress, we wouldn't be here, but we're here basically contradiction again. So having unlimited number of causations that regress to the past is also a contradiction, and therefore there must be an initial unlimited cause that caused the either one of these causations or the universe itself. Okay? And this is what we call Allah. As Muslims, we reach a conclusion that Allah must exist. Because the universe is dependent, limited, and changing, it must have a beginning, and that beginning must have been caused by a cause, and that cause must be unlimited. That unlimited cause that caused the beginning of the universe is what we call in Arabic Allah, or in English, God with a big capital G, or in French, Dieu, or in other languages, there's terms for that initial unlimited cause that created the beginning of the universe. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now you've proven that God exists. Any questions? Jinan, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. So my question is that I've just seen in a debate before, an atheist try to basically say that infinity does exist by using math, but my understanding is that math is just theoretical, and like physics is taking math and kind of putting it into reality. So I kind of wanted to just confirm that using math is just using math to basically say that infinity can exist in nature wouldn't really make sense because math is just theoretical.
But why is that a problem? Let's say, like, what is infinity? First of all, before we say it exists or doesn't exist, we need to understand what it is. The word infinity is a representation of the increase or decrease of a finite item towards the unlimited. This is what the concept means. Let me just draw it here with a pen. Give me 1 second. How do we stop this? Oh, whiteboard, here we go. Okay, what is infinity? What is infinity, brothers and sisters? So you have a number. Let's say you have number 1. And this number is part of a series. Yeah? Sequence or a series, yeah? And it's meaning basically it's changing. This variable v, let's say, or x, is actually changing. Because change exists. And this number is always basically changing +1 by +1. This is a change. Delta, the delta between basically one number to another is +1. So it becomes 2. It becomes 3. It becomes 4. It becomes 5. It becomes 6. It becomes 7. And continues, ... Where is it going to end? Well, it's not going to end. Because the number system is infinite. And therefore, it's going to continue to infinity. See what I'm saying? But at every time t, let's say t of n, that will be a number. It could be a huge number. And then t of n plus 1, meaning the next step, is 1, 8, 1, 7, 6, 1, 7, 5, 7. What's t n plus 2? You're going to make it 8. You're going to make it 9. It's going to continue growing. It grows forever. So you need to understand at a function of time t, there's always a number. There's always a specific finite number. That's what infinity is. So infinity existing, okay, it exists. We believe as Muslims infinity exists. Where's it going to exist? Where is it going to exist? Tell me, where does it exist? It exists in Jannah. In Jannah, we're going to live for infinity. We're going to continue growing. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like they say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran and through the Sunnah also, and that people are going to have, they're going to have enjoyment, and they're going to become beautiful. Let's say we take beauty, the beauty of a person in Jannah, and we measure it. We give, like, you know, beauty utilities, or beauty, what's it called? What do they call them? Particles? No, particles. Units. So beauty units, yeah? Let's call them bees, yeah? So a person will enter Jannah, let's say, at time t equal naught, or t naught right here, t0. And Allah creates them with, let's say, based upon their iman and how much good deeds they have, let's say at 1085 beauty units, bees, yeah? But then, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us on every Friday they become more beautiful, right? So next Friday, t plus t1, this is next Friday, they're going to be more beautiful. They're going to be 1086. The Friday after, t2, they're going to be 1087. See what I'm saying? But how long are you going to stay in Jannah? Well, forever. So definitely, basically, they're going to be, infinity exists. Definitely it exists. What are you talking about? You don't need mathematician to, you as a Muslim believe in infinity, as mathematically spoken about. Yeah, most people think infinity means unlimited. We're saying that no, it's not. And in the physical reality, we believe that the universe is limited. That's why mathematicians say infinity doesn't exist in reality. Actually, we Muslims believe that infinity does actually exist in reality, because reality is not only what we observe. Reality is Jannah. Reality is afterlife. So therefore, it will continue forever. Is this understood by people? Or Jinan, did you understand this?
Yeah, I did. I actually remember from last class you mentioned that infinity is just like a quantity. It's not like
No, but this mathematician or this atheist, you tell him, yeah, definitely infinity exists. It exists in the hellfire, and it exists in Jannah. So infinity does exist.
okay, thanks.
See what I'm saying? So you know, if he just figured it out now, like, okay, well, you know, good thing you woke up. Saud, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, you said some point about C prime regress to the past. I was completely lost there. So if you can elaborate more on that point.
Yeah, let's do that, inshallah, on the board. Let's use the board also again. I think a board is important. Yeah, it's like, so we're saying the universe, we said that the universe is limited and therefore must have a cause. Yeah, we said, so there's a C naught. We're saying what, then what? So step number 4, what we did in step number 4 is that we assume that that any cause C must be limited just like the universe. Because C, there's 2 possibilities for C naught. Either it is limited or unlimited. Now, we've never seen anything unlimited, so we don't have any reason to basically prove that it is unlimited. We've never seen any unlimited entity before in our lives, but it's just a theoretical possibility. So we did a proof by contradiction by assuming that every C is limited. Assume. That's how you start a proof by contradiction, by making an assumption about one of the options. We have 2 possibilities. We say assume that C, any C, is limited. We say, so okay, therefore C naught is limited. If it's limited, it must have a beginning, it must have a cause. So therefore this in itself needs a cause C prime. Let's call this C naught. Sorry, here we go. Yeah? And we say, okay, well, since C naught is a cause, it must be limited, and therefore it has a beginning, and therefore it needs a cause also. So therefore it needs another cause, and then another cause, and another cause, and another cause, and then continues to infinity. And if it continues to infinity, we wouldn't be here, but we are. There's contradiction. Therefore, the assumption, what is wrong? The assumption that C is limited is wrong. And C is not necessarily limited all the time. And that gives us the only other rational possibility that there must be some C during this chain that it is unlimited. Some C here, basically, maybe this one, will be the unlimited. It must be unlimited, and therefore causes the rest of the causation that causes the universe. See how it works?
Okay, so you're saying C is limited and C naught means unlimited? Did I get it right?
No. We're saying basically the set, the sequence of causes that will cause the universe cannot all of them be limited. This is what we're saying. At least one of them must be unlimited. Because if every C is limited, you're going to infinitely regress, and therefore nothing will exist in the first place. But since we exist, we know that assumption is wrong. And therefore, one C at one point in time must be unlimited. See what I'm saying?
Okay, I see.
You got it? This is powerful. That's how we prove that Allah exists. This is the only proof for Allah's existence. Let's be very frank. Type. Any other questions? Riham, go ahead. Okay.
I just have a question about the mathematical definition of unlimited. Can you remind me what that is again?
Not unlimited. We didn't define unlimited. We defined infinity.
Infinity. Oh, okay. So we still didn't define unlimited.
Unlimited is understood. It's like the quantities, as you learn in math, quantities. When we you know, I'm a little bit older than you guys. We used to have something called finite math in high school. In grade 13, we used to have grade 13 OAC in Ontario. Yeah. So quantities are either finite or not finite, or limited or unlimited. Limited or unlimited. That's how it is. Either the quantity is limited or it's unlimited. It's understood. But infinity, the concept of infinity, is a mathematical concept that needs definition. It is not it is not unlimited. Infinity is not equivalent to the word unlimited. Infinity is a concept of the increase or the decrease. Let's call it increase because that's negative infinity. Yeah. So let's call it. It's the increase of a variable, the increase of the value of a variable. Yeah. Towards the unlimited. This is what infinity means. This equals infinity. It's the continuous increase of a variable towards the unlimited. So as you can see, it's not one thing. It's the increase towards infinity, towards the unlimited. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. I get it. I get it now. Thank you so much.
Yeah, exactly. So the variable v is always limited at every step. It just grows. It becomes bigger. 100, 101, 102, 103. It continues growing. But is there a number? Can you stop the number of digits? You can continue add digits forever. That concept of continuous increase toward the unlimited, yeah, we denote it as infinity in math. Now sometimes, as we said last time, we use the word infinity to mean unlimited linguistically, right? Because it's finite, infinite means unlimited. So it's just a word, it's a terminology of the mathematicians. So that's why it's okay to use linguistically the word infinite to mean unlimited linguistically. But when we're speaking math and you're talking about infinity, you really need to understand this. You're talking about basically this continuous and gradual, as a continuous increase of a variable towards the unlimited. Okay, Maysam.
Assalamu alaikum. So can we like talk about time? Unlimited means time-wise, and finite and infinite magnitude, something like that.
What do you mean by that?
The amount is limited or unlimited, and the time is infinite or infinite. Is it like that?
So
time-wise, it goes to infinity by time, and the amount is limited or unlimited. Can we say that?
So time could be infinite. We just said basically in Jannah, how long are you going to say in Jannah? For finite or infinite time?
Yeah, we're talking about time, right?
We're saying time, where we go. Time can be, let's say, yeah, can be, can continue can be infinite. Yeah, there's no problem with that. Time can be infinite.
Okay.
But not from the beginning.
Yeah, okay. It has a beginning, but can go infinite.
Not from the beginning, exactly, from the end.
Yeah.
Remember the lines we did say, yeah, exactly. There's limited at both ends. There's limited at the end, and there's limited there's unlimited at the beginning, and there's unlimited at both. So we said basically this one is mahdood, and this one is basically azali. I'm sorry, this one is abadi.
Abadi, azali.
And this one is azali, and this is sarmadi. So you're asking me, is there unlimited times? Definitely, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have a beginning. But see, if it doesn't have a beginning, then there's also sarmadi. Those two concepts are equal. So we're saying basically, a time does not even, time means change. Allah is not changing. Allah never begun. But can time basically of a limited object? You're asking, can a limited object stay forever? Time-wise. I'm telling you, yes. We will stay in Jannah and Jahannam. Inshallah, for us will be Jannah. Forever. So we will experience infinite time.
But is Jannah in its magnitude is also unlimited? That's what I'm talking about.
But see, there's only one unlimited. Look, you're mixing up unlimited with infinity again.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to
Jannah is remember the beauty example I gave you. So let's say Allah wants to give you more space. Every Jum'ah, we said basically, the Jannah, let's say basically, I mean, X amount of square feet, basically. Yeah? Let's say basically it's X. Every Jum'ah, Allah gives you more space, gives you a new piece of land. So it'll be X plus 1, and then X plus 2, X plus 3, goes to infinity, even space. So Jannah is unlimited in space and time. Sorry, not unlimited, infinite, not unlimited. Infinite in terms of space and time. Meaning is it gradually goes towards the unlimited, but it is limited at that point in time. So you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's only one entity. We're going to go to step 5. That's unlimited. There cannot be two unlimiteds.
Yeah.
But the Jannah is infinite. Mathematically, it's infinite. Okay? Meaning limited object that continues forever.
Okay.
Growing forever. But
One
it's
more
not
question.
unlimited. It will never be unlimited. Every single point in time is always limited.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah. One more thing, please.
Okay.
You've erased that sequence of C's backwards. C's not C minus 1, C,
No,
etc.
I have it.
You have it. Yeah. Can we put on each arrow of those which slide you're talking about, that you're reasoning this arrow?
Yeah, step 4. The slide for step 4.
So in each one of those arrows, you are talking about step 4 in the slides, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
جزاك الله خير.
الله يبارك فيكم. طيب كنزودة.
Sheikh, is it okay to then assume that the concept of infinity, can it like be mathematically expressed by the idea of the undefined, or 0 raised to the power of 0? No?
No. Infinity is basically infinity is real. Okay, we as Muslims believe infinity is real. Okay, it's infinity is a finite object that's growing. That's all. Okay, it's a finite object that keeps growing, and we don't see a stop for that growth. This is what we call infinity. So infinite can exist as a limited object, but continues growing. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, then
How could it be undefined? It is not. It is defined. It is limited. It's you know. Aren't you going to live forever in Kanzuda? You know, you're going to live forever in Jannah. So today you are, let's say, you know, you have a specific amount of less age. You're 20 years old. You know, next year you're going to be 21 years old. After you die, you're going to be reborn, be born again. Then you'll be basically 26 years old and 27 years old and so forth. Earthly years. So you're going to continue to live forever. So that's infinity. Your age is going to continue to infinity. It is limited at every single time. Every single time, let's say basically 10 billion years in Jannah. If you ask, how old are you, Kanzuda? You tell me 12. I've been here for 10 million years, and I spent, let's say, 50 years on Earth. So I'm 10 million and 50 years old. See what I'm saying?
Okay. So
if I ask you a million years after, you tell me, okay, now I'm 2 million years old. You know what I'm saying? It's going to keep growing because you're going to continue forever. This is what infinity is.
Okay, so then, Sheikh, where does the concept of the undefined slip in? Because it's a very powerful concept in math, where you have
undefined when basically the calculation that doesn't make sense. So, for example, if you're gonna divide 5 by 0, it's undefined.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with infinity.
Okay, so it's kind of like an auxiliary concept in terms of what we're trying to achieve. Right? Like
what do you mean by that?
Like it's not that important. Like it's
what is it?
Never mind, Sheikh. I think I got my answer. Thank you so much, though.
As long as you got it, I'm good.
Yeah, thank you.
One more question. Zia, inshallah.
So, Sheikh, concept of time in Jannah would be different than concept of time over here.
Time is changed. So time could be different, but time is changed. And can you relate?
So in essence.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically when he compares Yawm al-Qiyamah, He says basically one day equivalent to 50,000 years. So 50,000 years here is equivalent to one day over there. So it's because time is relative, right? So can you relate time? Yes. Can you convert your age in Jannah to your age here in yeah, you can. Okay.
I see. Makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if you can recommend any readings on this concept, because it's nice to understand it right now, but just for the clarification.
Make dua that I finish writing my book, and then inshallah when I publish it, inshallah you can read it as much as you want. For now, I'm teaching all this from my mind, by the way. I made this curriculum 5 years ago, and I didn't like, you know, I just actually taught it, and so inshallah make dua that I actually, Allah gives me the power and the ability to publish that book, and then inshallah you can take it. Okay, so we'll stop here in terms of questions. I think we guys brought amazing questions, and we'll go back to the slides inshallah. So we finished step 4 by proving there must be an unlimited entity. Now, okay, well, maybe I should not have rushed and say that there is God, because there's a catch. What is the catch? Who can tell me what's the catch? Huh?
An atheist can use the argument to say that it could be any God.
No, forget that. It's not like that. This is an absurd question by the atheists. They don't understand what they're talking about. You need to understand the proof first.
Okay.
It's not that we denote, we proved that there must be an unlimited entity that was the initial cause of the universe. We proved that. We're just giving it a name. You want to call it God, you want to call it whatever. Call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it the first cause. It doesn't matter. It's not the naming. We proved that such an entity, an unlimited entity exists. But what is the catch here, basically? Who can tell me what's the catch?
Is it that why do we believe there's only one of the such entity? Like there could be many as well. Is that the catch?
Wallahi barak fiki. Lisa, you got it head on. We remember that sequence of C's. We proved that all of them cannot be limited. But what we prove right now, there must be at least one that's unlimited. Doesn't mean that there's only one. There could be many, at least with that proof. So that's why we need step 5. We need step 5 to prove that there basically can only be one and only one unlimited independent entities. So as you can see, basically until now, what did we do? We said the universe is independent, unlimited. Oh, sorry. We thought that the cause is independent. That's why basically it's there. It has to be one or more: unlimited, independent. Well, the unique and the first cause. Forget this. This is the wrong slide in the wrong place. May Allah forgive the ones who did it. This is where we need to now basically discuss step number 5. Can we have multiple unlimited entities? That's the last question we have to prove that La ilaha illallah. Okay? If 2 unlimited entities appear, now over here he used the word being. So let's see what's in the slide here. See, one of the things basically I also teach them is that this unlimited entities must be beings. What's the difference between a being and an entity? Anybody knows? What's the difference between an entity and a being? Mariam, please put a note that we need to add a slide here. So an entity is just anything in existence. Okay? It could be physical, it could be non-physical, it could be limited, it could be unlimited. It's very, very abstract. An entity is something in existence. Okay, it's really the opposite of nothing. So there's nothing and there's an entity. A being is a subtype of an entity. So every being is an entity, but not every entity is a being. So there's the added description of having a will. Having a will. A will is used to basically decide, to undertake action, to initiate a decision. Yeah. So that's what a being is. Yeah. Type. So forget the word being for now. I'll tell you when we're going to get to it. So if there's 2 unlimited entities, can they both exist? What we did in step 4 is we proved that there's a lower bound. If you remember math, there's a lower bound of 1. There has to be at least 1 or more unlimited causations in that sequence of C's that we basically talked about. And the question is now basically, is there more than 1? So we assume, so basically we do 2 possibilities. One says basically there must be one and only one unlimited entity. The other one basically there is more than one unlimited entity. Okay, these are the 2 possibilities. So we start by the proof of contradiction. We say assume there is 2 or more unlimited entities. Now those 2 unlimited entities, for them to be unlimited, meaning basically nothing can limit them. That's what by definition. Now their existence, their mere existence creates a conflict. Yeah, whether in decision making or in existence, can 2 unlimited entities mutually exclusive exist from each other? If we assume their existence is separate and mutually exclusive, well, that their existence limit both of them, because one exists in a place and time or space or in a way or configuration that the other does not have any type of control of or any type of existence within. Okay, and within doesn't have to be spatial. Okay, and that's why it's very important to talk about irada or will in this case. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought this in the Quran. Talk about basically the will of each other. So because if they're unlimited, their will must be unlimited. If they're not willing, that's a limitation, right? So we start this proof here, by understanding that if there is an unlimited entity, it must be willing, because if it does not will, then it's limited. See what I'm saying? And therefore it must be willing, and its will must be unlimited. And if there's 2 of those, then each will must be unlimited over the other will, and therefore proved by contradiction, because because one will basically one will limit the will of the one unlimited will limit the other will, and therefore contradiction. And therefore we reach a conclusion that there can only be one and only one unlimited entity that must have an unlimited will, which we call a being, and therefore there must be one and only one unlimited being in existence. Now that is what we call Allah. Okay, not any unlimited cause. See, that was not proper I kind of rushed a bit. That one and only one unlimited being is what we call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, because having 2 unlimiteds cannot basically exist. They're going to limit each other. Okay, now over here basically, and that's why basically also, Mariam, please put a note that we need to explain this in a slide. Over here basically, this is more of a discussion after we discuss this. We say, okay, what's if basically they're both unlimited entities? Do they have to contradict each other? Do they have to limit one another? What if they're synchronized? We say, well, if they are synchronized, how do you know that they're not the same entity? We say, well, they're actually not the same entity. Well, then the question becomes basically, if they're not in contradiction right now, do they have the ability to contradict one another? If the person says no, they cannot, we tell them, okay, great. Then basically you're talking about a limited entity, because they cannot limit one another, and their inability to limit one another is a limitation, and therefore that means you're talking about an unlimited entity. Contradiction. If they can say yes, well, that's a catch-22. If they can limit one another, that which limits the other is the unlimited, and that which gets limited by the other is unlimited. And they can limit each other, they're both not limited. They're both not unlimited. And there again, basically, we debunk that argument. So at the end of the day, therefore, one and only one unlimited being can exist, or entity can exist in existence, and anything else is not possible. Okay? Any questions about this? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this issue of will and contradiction of wills of the 2 unlimited of 2 or more unlimited beings in the Quran. Okay?
Sheikh Usta.
Yes.
Kind of just to like put this a little bit into more context, and you can obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of like if you're doing a group project and like you have two partners, like you're gonna limit each other's ideas because you can't do completely what you want, like on your project.
Right,
Would it be
basically,
similar
if we
to
have two
that?
people, exactly. If we have two, let's say, if we have two leaders, and we tell each lead, you can choose the topic that you want. You're independent, and you know, you have no pressure. And the question is basically, yeah, there might be a chance that basically both leaders agree on the same topic, but the question is not agreeing. The question, can they contradict one another? If you go, let's say you and your sister, Jinan and Sana, you guys are working on the same project, and then your teacher both set you as the leader of the project, that have full say on what topic it is. You might agree with Sana on a topic, but that's not the question. The question is basically, are you really a leader? Are you really unlimited? Meaning basically, what if Jinan decides to change the topic? Does Sana have a say or no? And then basically, if you tell me she has a say, then you're limited. If you tell me she does not have a say, then she's limited. See what I'm saying? So that's why basically there will only be one and only one unlimited being that has unlimited will in the universe and nothing else. In existence and nothing else. So it's a nice analogy if you basically know how to structure it. You got it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, Sheikh.
Mason? Yeah. Mason, a question?
Just can you translate being and entity in Arabic, please?
In Arabic, basically, well, entity is really jawhar. You're going to go into like ilm al-kalam.
Okay, jawhar, okay.
Yeah, it's basically anything that exists. Jawhar is anything in existence, basically.
Okay.
And being is basically, if I'm not mistaken,
وجود واجب
no. موجود شيء آخر.
Yeah.
موجود could be actually موجود could be the entity يعني. كله موجود. لأنه الحادث is limited. Let's discuss it later. We're not here just teaching Arabic.
Okay.
Any other questions about this, so we don't get distracted, inshallah?
I think if you prefer to take a break.
Okay, let's take a break. Perfect. May Allah bless you. Share screen. Do you see my screen? Yeah, to be honest, basically today, I'm going to open it for more questions just because it's very deep. I'm not going to cover, I think I could cover more stuff, but basically I'd rather just stop right here. So we just proved that there is basically one entity, one and only one entity of the universe, and that's really it. We come to the conclusion. What did we do since like the last 2 or 3 weeks? Well, we started with an observation. And I really want to comment on this. You understand how powerful the belief in Allah is. You started with an observation. You didn't start with a belief. You didn't start with like a pre-believed in book like the Quran or whatever. When the Christians come to give you da'wah, they bring their Bible and tell you, look, it says Jesus is God. It says Jesus is the Son of God. No. We didn't believe in that book yet. So don't tell me what's in it. Don't use it as a proof, because you need to prove it first. So we start with an observation. Get any raw human being. That human being doesn't even have to know civilization. You know what I'm saying? Let's say basically this human being was raised by the wolves in the jungle. Yeah. So that human being, you can you go through these steps and make him or her believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fully with this process. Okay? So that's why it's so powerful. It's very transformational. When you start with an observation, what do you observe? Well, you observe the universe is limited, dependent, and changing. Tayyib, does it have a beginning? Well, we say basically anything that we reach a conclusion that anything that is limited and changing must have a beginning, and anything that's dependent must have also a beginning. Therefore, the universe, which is a set of all limited and changing entities must have a beginning. Well, that beginning, must have a cause, because basically if it doesn't have a cause, it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? It is in existence, and there's no other explanation for its existence except for it to have a cause, because it cannot come from nothing. It cannot cause itself because it's not even there in the first place. So it must have a cause. That cause could be limited or unlimited. We said if it's limited, it will basically, we'll have a problem of basically infinite regress, which actually means that basically will never exist in the first place, but we actually do exist. Therefore, there must be an unlimited entity within that sequence of causations, and in that sequence of causation, there must be one and only one unlimited entities, because having multiples will contradict their existence in the first place, and therefore that one entity must be also unlimited in its ability to have a will and have a say, and therefore it is a being. Actually, it's not just an entity, it is an unlimited being that is one and only one. And that is, and this whole conclusion, brothers and sisters, is summarized in the shortest, one of the shortest surah in the Quran, Qul Huwallahu Ahad. In Qul Huwallahu Ahad, say that Allah is one and only one, and say Allahu Samad. Allah is, this is saying sustainer is wrong. Let's basically put a note quickly, Maryam or Amina, to change that. The real meaning of As-Samadiyya is actually this whole thing that we just talked about. This one word, 3 letters, Samad, is this whole conclusion from 1 to 5. Because Allah, the word Samad means the independent entity. The independent entity that's needed by every other entity in existence. And that is the meaning, and that's why Allah is one and only one. Okay? He has no other, he does not have offspring, nor basically was he born, and there's none compared to him. Okay? None compared. Why? Because he is the unlimited. There can only be one unlimited, and therefore nothing can be like him. Everything is limited, and Allah is the only unlimited, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why the human being should say, La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. That's how you have become today, for the first time, an intellectual Muslim, a Muslim not by tradition or birth, a Muslim by by your mind, and by your rationale, and by your logic, and by your thinking faculty. You've reached the conclusion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, and His existence is a must. His existence is a must. Why is it a must? Because we exist. And nothing can explain our existence except one and only one unlimited being. And that is what we call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Stop here and open it for questions. And once we're done, basically we'll finish today's lesson a little bit shorter than usual, just because I gave you an influx of information. And I know it's already basically it's mind-bending. And so I'll let you basically ask any questions you want. We have till 12. But if we finish early, we'll be able to go for today, inshallah. Lisa, go ahead, Ukhti.
I was just wondering, I know some people had asked before, how do we prove infinity? Like we were talking about infinity earlier. How do we prove that it's real if we are not yet a Muslim in the discussion? Like I know we were talking about the example of Jannah and afterlife, but if we are proving it to an atheist, how do we justify that it is in fact
very good question. Very, very good question. That means you're thinking and you're really meticulous about circular arguments. Allah barak fikum. Lisa, may Allah bless you. You are teaching material, Ukhti. Inshallah, you should become an I3 instructor. So Allah barak fikum. May Allah bless you. So the quick answer for this one is that basically infinity doesn't necessarily have to we don't need to, it could be real. It could exist. That's what's important. Now, does it exist? Well, that needs a proof. That's where Jannah comes into play. And we cannot talk about Jannah unless we prove the Quran, which is a step that we didn't reach yet. So definitely, that's why I said as Muslims. I always said as Muslims. Yeah? But definitely, the possibility of infinity existing is possible. That's what we can prove. We can prove infinity is not. See, everything is either impossible or possible, or a must. Let me teach you this. And Amna, please put a slide for this. This is a good content for you guys. See, this is what I do. I teach basically really like from the learnings I've had with my teachers for the last 20 years. Entities have 3 modes. existence.
Sheikh, you're cutting off a bit, so we kind of lost.
Or impossible.
Sheikh?
Or that's how it is. Well, we prove the existence of entity, the existence of infinity, which is basically, we already defined infinity as an entity that continuously growing towards the unlimited. That type of entity is possible. It's possible. Okay, it's not impossible. It's not a contradiction. Impossible is, for example, we said the creation of the universe in itself is impossible. You can't have something that creates itself because it's a contradiction. It must exist and not exist at the same time, therefore it's impossible. We just talked about one impossible. Having, for example, a squared circle, meaning a diagram that is a square and a circle at the same time. You have something that is square and a circle the same, because circle is basically zero-sided, and this zero and four-sided is a contradiction. You can either be a zero-sided or four-sided at the same time. The existence of a squared circle is a contradiction. It's impossible. The existence of a human being is possible. It's possible. It's not a must. It's possible. Okay. Allah's existence is a must. He is the only entity that must exist. Allah's existence is a must. Why is it a must? Because we exist. And we cannot exist without him. Therefore, because we exist, he must exist. Wajib al-wujud. We call it in Arabic wajib al-wujud. Wajib al-wujud. Okay? So the existence of limited entities that continue on a timeline forever is actually possible. That's all we can prove. Possible is possible. Now, do we have anything that we can see and touch that is infinite? No. We don't. We need the Quran to prove that there will basically be Jannah and people living in Jannah. So Jannah is infinite and the human beings are infinite. That needs an additional proof that we through our rational minds cannot basically ascertain. So it is not a logical proof. It is a textual proof through the Quran. After we prove the Quran logically, we can use the text of the Quran. Is that understandable?
Yes, Sheikh, that makes sense. So we approach the argument by saying that it is either possible or not, and so there's two possibilities. Is that what you said?
No, about infinity, we can say basically the existence of infinity is possible because there's no proof for it, basically, for its contradiction.
Not possible.
And logically, basically, you know, on a timeline, things can continue, and therefore it is possible.
Okay, yes. Jazakallah khairan.
Now, the only thing that basically comes to mind, which basically needs an explanation, see, the existence of infinity is, by the way, dependent upon having an independent entity. Meaning you cannot have infinite, limited objects without having an infinite, unlimited being that supports it. This is my belief, by the way. See, now we're getting into too much now. Basically, we're going to get into philosophical. There's philosophical arguments for and against, even within the Islamic circles. I don't want to get into it, but basically, I'm giving you the basics. You know, so the third law of thermodynamics would tell you that basically a limited entity cannot continue forever. And I love that. I love it. And that's why basically, that's why we're saying we need an us being able, it's theoretically possible. But that possibility rests upon having an entity that's wajib al-wujud, that's unlimited in the first place, to continuously support that limited object in its existence forever. But then again, I had a big argument with one of my biggest teachers from the Middle East about this. But definitely, basically, I'm giving you the basics that are 100%, and you know, as long as you understand them, you can debate them, inshallah. Okay? You got it?
Yes.
Zia, go ahead.
So Sheikh, my question is, you discuss concept of wajib al-wujud. which I believe means necessary, existent.
Concept
So
the what? واجب الوجود?
it
Come
means
close to the mic, I cannot hear you. Inshallah.
so it means necessary existence, right? Basically. Wajib al-wujud.
Yes, existence by necessity. Yeah. Correct.
Necessary existence, basically, by default.
Yeah.
So thing is, some atheists, you know, they say,
Correct, that's
okay,
correct.
there is some necessary existence, but they say that it doesn't have to be God. So how do we respond to this argument?
Okay, so let me explain what they mean. Okay, what these atheists are talking about, they're saying, you see, you need to understand the cultural aspect of this discussion. An atheist, when they say, I don't believe in God, they're saying two things. Okay? They're not really saying, I don't believe, meaning basically they're denying. They're just saying basically, I don't know yet. Because I am not convinced. So they're not saying God doesn't exist. They're just saying, look, I'm ignorant about it. I don't know. That's number one, which is not relevant to your question. What's relevant in your question, Akhi, is that I don't believe, I don't believe, they're not really talking, in most cases, they're not talking about the first cause, which they could be talking about. But definitely they're talking about basically that personal Abrahamic God in the Bible. Or the Quran, but they never read the Quran, but in the Bible. So when they're rejecting when the atheists are rejecting God, they're saying, hold on one second. That personal God that is Jesus and Son of Jesus and so forth, that's just nonsense. Okay? Why does Jesus' existence is a must? Why can't we basically have something else? That's how they think. They're not familiar with the Islamic rhetoric. What I taught you today, no atheists understand. Most atheists don't understand. They've never been. Anybody basically will go through these steps that I just took you. They'll understand. They'll believe in God. See, for them, God is a personal God. The gods that get angry, puts people in hellfire, blah blah. And attached to this are lots of human features that the atheist, because of rationality, sometimes rightly so, rejects God altogether. Because of the Bible and because of the Torah, that makes God, unfortunately, astaghfirullah, they describe God in a very wrong way. That's why basically for us as Muslimin, the most important concept in Tawheed is at-tanzih. At-tanzih is cleansing Allah from any limited and attributes of shortcomings. But you find that's filled in the Bible and the Torah, and therefore the atheist sometimes, rightly so, rejects the whole concept of a personal God. See what I'm saying? But we didn't talk about personal gods. We always said from the beginning, we talked about an unlimited entity. The only times basically we touch the personal is when we talk about the being, the will. And we proved it by the mind, by rationality, that basically we proved that there must be one and only one unlimited entity. We're saying, well, if it is unlimited, it cannot have a limited will. Not having a will is a limitation, therefore it must have a will, and that will must be unlimited, otherwise it will be limited. Therefore, having a will and having an unlimited will should be part of the unlimited entity. That's the only time we touch the personal piece. And as you can see, it's a very generic way. See what I'm saying? So that's where basically the atheists fail to understand, because they're not used to this type of rationality. They're used to this basically a preacher knocks on the door, tells you to see this Bible, basically you have to believe in the Bible. It just doesn't make sense. I reject that, not only the atheist. Again, I'm not giving the atheists a break here. Basically, most of this, what they say is gibberish, because they've never really thought through things. And that's a misgiving of the atheists. The atheists are not very intellectual, unfortunately, as much as you think. Some of them are, but most of them are not. Because they're used to challenging the Christians, which are very unintellectual. Christians are very unintellectual. That's why they believe in faith. When I say unintellectual, it's not a curse. It's not like, I'm saying the Christian religion is based upon blind acceptance of concepts, and therefore they're based upon faith. Islam is not based upon faith. Islam is based upon rationality. What we call iman is not supposed to be translated into the word faith in English. It's supposed to be translated into logical and rational proofs about life. This is the right description. So when the atheists are coming basically with arguments, they're really coming out of their experience with the Judeo-Christian culture, which really doesn't put too much emphasis on proofs. It puts emphasis on blind faith, right? And you know, that's what they say. But don't forget, I'm not here being like condescending in any way or shape. No, I'm being very intellectual and objective here, because I'm just quoting them. So the atheists have a reaction, have an allergy to Christians. You know, but when they deal with Muslims, they think we're the same, and unfortunately, it's not. See what I'm saying? And that's why, going back to your question, it's not as if we're picking and choosing. Oh, why isn't the universe can be wajib al-wujud? We're saying that's not the point. That's not the point. We know we're existing, correct? Okay, we're existing. Our existence is possible, but it is true. Our existence is possible and it's true. Okay, so we start from that observation that we exist. We're saying because we exist, the existence of a one and only one unlimited being is a must. That's what we're saying. And we're giving that entity a name, we're calling Allah. See what I'm saying? So it's not as if basically we want to pick and choose, oh, how about that being must exist? How about that being a exist? How about that being necessarily existence? It's not that. That's just stupid. That's just irrational. That's so unintellectual. When you say something's existence is a must, well, you have to prove it. It's not I pick and choose. I have to prove it. So we said that Allah's existence is a must because we exist and we are needy to a creator. And because we exist, therefore this creator must exist because we're here. See how it works?
Yes.
Around. Yeah, you understand
Yes,
it now,
it makes
Yazia?
sense. Perfect. Yes, it makes sense. Perfect.
This is deep stuff. I'm giving you like really.
Yes,
this is
yes.
deep stuff. Like I'm going into the psychology of atheism. This is not just. So inshallah, I hope you benefited from it. This is very important. And maybe Maryam, we should basically put this on a slide. Allah barak feek, inshallah. طيب. Any other questions? Saud, you have a question?
No question. Sorry, I think I got muted.
No worries. Anybody else? Or if we're good to go, we're good. Zo Malik? Zo, what's your name? I don't know. Hawa, do you have a question?
Sheikh, it's more of a comment. I'm just very grateful that you're taking the initiative to teach us this. Really, truly. It's a profound class, and I'm very grateful that I found out about I3 when I did. And I think your presentation and the structure that you carry out the class is very good. So just wanted to share that. So Jazakallahu khairan.
Allah barak feek. May Allah bless you. Definitely, and this is what our ulama have taught us, and then I took it. The reason basically we come here, you know, we don't get paid for this because it's for Allah. We have over 35 teachers teaching in Ontario and around the world. Fi sabilillah. Nobody gets paid because we believe this is the truth that Allah has sent through the prophets. And we need to basically, and it is definitely is transformational. It is life-changing. When people learn this specific class, they're like, what? How come nobody told me about this for the last 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is? So definitely, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you for actually, you know, saying it out loud. It's definitely it's been an amazing journey in building this institution and building the human development, the person, the Muslim person. And this is what I want. This is all what we want. You know, I don't do it to make money. I do it to basically seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in helping my fellow younger brothers and sisters, and even older, to be honest, with this knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entrusted me with. And that's why we're here today, to really spread this truth and spread this knowledge that is literally priceless. You know, I remember always the MasterCard advertisement about priceless. Wallahi, this is the only thing that's priceless in this dunya, is knowing Allah through your mental faculty, where you reach a state of conviction in your heart and mind that keeps you steadfast and 100% and believe in Allah. And that's when you feel the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, really. It's a different experience, subhanAllah, different experience. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you guys. May Allah bless you. And bless all of our teachers, and my teachers specifically, that he got me to this level. And alhamdulillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, it's been a couple of decades now since I've learned all this. And alhamdulillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah enabled me for the last 16 years to teach this. Alhamdulillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I hope that some of you guys basically will pick up this task and say, look, I transformed, I love this, this affected my life dramatically, and I want to affect other people's lives. And this is what the IIT Institute is all about, inshallah.
Ameen.
طيب, جزاكم الله خير كنزيلا for that comment. Allah barik feekum. Any other questions, inshallah? Okay, well, if there's no questions, I'll leave you with that, with this inshallah class. We'll leave 20 minutes early, and may Allah bless you. Don't forget us from your dua, and make dua for myself and for the TAs that are making this class happen. And may Allah bless you subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll see you inshallah next class. We have 3 more classes, just to let you know. So please be on time and remind people who are missing classes. 3 more classes inshallah until we finish, and then basically we'll talk about what's coming after. جزاكم الله خير وصلى الله على رسول الكريم واخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.